This week on Traverse Talks, a revealing exchange at the Grand Traverse County Board meeting pulls back the curtain on how major public construction contracts are reviewed and approved. Commissioners pressed for clarity on how a not-to-exceed contract is built, questioning whether individual bid components are scrutinized closely enough before taxpayer dollars are locked in. What followed was a detailed explanation of an open book bidding process designed to ensure transparency, apples-to-apples comparisons, and accountability before a final recommendation reaches the board.
Hey folks, Jim Horn. This is another edition of Traverse Talks. As River mentioned, one of the biggest issues in any government project is overruns. And that question was gone over, I think, pretty thoroughly at the Grand Traverse County Board meeting on February 18th. I think there were a lot of good questions, and I'm going to let you listen to what was said because, quite frankly, this is the citizens' money. There's a lot of it, about almost 26 to $28 million, and this is a major project here for Grand Traverse County, and they've got another one coming up with the jail facility. So we're going to be spending a lot of money, and cost overruns are a big issue on any government project. So let's listen in first. Commissioner Andrews has a question, and then there are other follow-up questions, which I will comment on. Here we go.
What is the process to ensure that the proposal, I understand this is a not to exceed contract. So how do we ensure that, from our perspective, all the numbers that go into the maximum are reasonable? Don't we have an obligation on our end to use didn't we hire an architect? Yep. And we have a building authority that we task to review, and wouldn't we do that on the front end? Because once those contract is set, we don't get to negotiate, right? Those numbers are set.
The contract review did include the Spicer Group, who has been hired to provide additional support, as well as extensive comments from our risk manager, MMRMA, on indemnity, insurance provisions, similar provisions, as well as significant involvement of civil counsel.
So, Commissioner Andrews, she said that what didn't quite answer my question, so here she is again.
So I'm asking a slightly different question, which is how we're going to get a compilation of prices to perform windows, roofing, foundation work, each single component, and each of those went out to bid. And how don't we have somebody reviewing the number that makes up the total maximum bid to make sure each number is a reasonable and was the compliant, either with our 5% addition, or what's our process to make sure that maximum number is not padded, just to ensure that does the question make sense?
It looks like
Yes.
Mr. Paplinski is ready to answer.
Thank
Good
you.
morning, Commissioners.
I'm looking at administration.
So there she is. She was trying to dig in to make sure that the cost overruns weren't excessive. And I think one of the things you have to remember with most of these people on the county council, they're not builders. They're, normal citizens, lawyers, and so forth, some business people, but certainly not, they've never done construction of this type. So these are good questions. Anyway, so let's listen to an explanation of the oversight from gentleman at Cunningham Limp.
Great question, Commissioner Andrews. So the process that we'll go through is we have the open bids out right now. We have a deadline for all bids to be submitted for 2 Mondays from the Monday that just happened. So we're going to receive all those bids in. We're going to go through a process called our sub-levelization process, where we're going to make sure that they have a similar scope being covered because we sent out scopes of work. So that way we make sure we have an apples-to-apples comparison, that each of these subcontractors are carrying a similar scope. And
okay, so there you've got an initial explanation, and this gentleman is going to continue on.
Once we can confirm that, we then also have their number and then a confirmation that they can hit the schedule or if they have an issue with the schedule. So we'll go through an entire process to levelize all those subcontractors, making sure they're all apples to apples, and then that will give us who's the lowest number, also the most qualified at that lowest number. So after we go through that process, we're then going to sit down with the team, the building authority, to present those bids. Will be an open book, open bid process. So all of those sub-levelization, all of that information is open for anyone's review to see our comparison of the subcontractor bids that came in, and we're going to show who we recommend for each of those. There may be a situation where a low bidder may not be selected, but we will make sure to explain why our recommendation would not be for that low bidder to be selected, and that would likely be based on whether or not there's qualification issues for them to be able to perform to the schedule and the quality that we're looking for the project.
So there you have it. That's everybody is looking at this thing closely, and rightfully so. At top up, $28.6 million. I think the bottom figure is like $26 million. So consequently, people are looking at this very closely. In addition, there is an 8% contingency. In other words, if a subcontractor bids, $10,000 on a particular item that he is working on, he has an 8% contingency in case prices change. And quite frankly, prices have changed quite a bit since a lot of the tariffs have been introduced, and that could obviously affect the pricing of this job. So I wanted to give you some ideas as far as what guardrails were in place. You can see the county commissioners are on top of this. Hopefully the project not only comes in on time, but comes in within the cost parameters that we have. Anyway, folks, this is Jim Horn. This is Travers Talks. Have yourself one great week.